I plugged the mayor's toilet with expanding foam after he made us pay for sewage while his flowed in the streets. So I grew up in this tiny village in southern France, like really tiny. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone and they hate anyone new. My parents moved there when I was little and bought this piece of land from a local farmer. Sounds normal, right? Wrong. The whole village lost their minds because we were outsiders. For 15 years, these people treated us like garbage. Kids would mess with me at school. The adults would make nasty comments when we walked by. The hunters would try to intimidate my dad until he showed them his gun. They even tried to build a road through our living room once. I'm not kidding. They literally wanted to put a road right through our house just to mess with us. But the worst part was the mayor. This guy was the biggest hypocrite I've ever met. So the village is super old, right? Like medieval old. Beautiful stone houses, narrow streets, the whole thing. Except there's one tiny problem. Everyone's sewage just flows down the gutters in the street. Picture this. You're walking through this gorgeous historic village, and there's literally poop running down the gutters next to your feet. It was disgusting. Finally, the mayor decides it's time to join the modern world. He announces they're building a communal sewage system for the whole old village. Everyone has to pay their share and connect their houses. My family was actually excited about this. We lived outside the village and already had proper plumbing, but at least the streets wouldn't smell like a toilet anymore. Then we find out the mayor's dirty little secret. This guy exempted his own house from the new system. He made everyone else pay thousands of dollars to connect while his house still dumps waste straight into the street. His sewage literally pours out of this pipe in his stone wall and drips down these carved steps right in front of his house. But he's too cheap to pay for his own connection. My dad was furious. Every time we drove past the mayor's house, he'd see that sewage pipe and go off. Someone should plug that thing with expanding foam, he'd say. Teach him a lesson. Well, when I turned 14 and got my moped, guess where my first trip was? The hardware store in the next town. I bought 4 cans of expanding foam with my allowance money. That night, I snuck out with my best friend. We walked down to the village around midnight when everyone was asleep. We found the mayor's sewage pipe and emptied every single can of foam into it. The stuff expands like crazy once it's inside the pipes, but we weren't done yet. We decided his front door needed some decoration too. So, we gave him a little taste of what everyone else had been dealing with for years. The next morning was beautiful. The mayor goes to use his toilet and it starts overflowing everywhere. Sewage is backing up all through his house. He runs outside to see what's wrong and slips on a puddle of his own waste right at his front door. The whole village heard him screaming and cursing that morning. People came out of their houses to see what was happening. There's the mayor, covered in his own poop, standing in front of his house with sewage pouring out of his toilet. 6 years later, when I moved away, people were still talking about that morning. How the mayor, who was too cheap to pay for proper sewage, learned what it feels like when your toilet doesn't work. And you know what the best part was? He had to pay for the cleanup and finally connect to the communal system like everyone else.